What is up, y'all? We are live on the channel on this Saturday morning. I'm on the West Coast, so it's still morning for me. I hope y'all are doing well. I hope your week has been great and blessed. I'm going to give some people some time to chime in here and get in the room before we get started. This is going to be a quick live, not much for you today, but I want to get into the practice of doing a live presentation on this channel. Hi, Denise. I see you. Thank you for chiming in. Trying to get busy here on this live. I just found a news article that I wanted to share that I thought was interesting. And like I say, I want to get, oh, there's my friend, Urban Southern Cookie. I just want to get into the habit of being live on this channel. It's not something that I'm really familiar with. So I have to kind of train myself to get familiar with the practice. Ed and Da, thank you for chiming in. So I found this article. I thought I would share it with you. It's about Black Americans' economic progress being threatened. Boy, that caught my attention when I saw it. Like, okay, the economic progress of Black folks being threatened? Well, who's threatening it? And how should Black folks respond? I came up in an era where Black folks understood that you had to work hard. And after 20 years working in the Black community, working predominantly with young Black males, artists, musicians who are directed in one direction solely, just to be successful in a music industry that they themselves don't understand. It's been difficult work. It's been hard work. And after 20 years of doing it, I feel like I haven't made the impact that I've wanted to make in that particular demographic. And it's disheartening because I've spent a lot of time, a lot of hard work, a lot of energy on these young brothers. And some of them who were young brothers when I started working with them, they're now older brothers with wives and kids and doing other things. And I'm like, man, y'all never figured it out after all that time, after all that energy, after all that work. You're in the same place you were when you were 19. Now you're 39. And just an older person doing the same thing. But I digress, y'all. That's just me and my situation. Cynthia Robinson, thank you for chiming in. Marianne B. Phillips, I see you. Thank you all for being here on this impromptu live. Y'all, I didn't plan this. I just came across this article and thought I would share it with y'all, so I'm going to share it. And I appreciate each and every one of you for chiming in on this channel. We're obviously fighting against the algorithm. They're trying to crush the message that we're trying to put out into the atmosphere. And it's an election year, so I understand it. There are many forces that are going to rise up against those of us who are trying to speak the truth. There are many forces who are going to try to direct our community in a certain direction so that we vote a certain way, so that we feel a certain way in this election year. I get it. I'm not tripping. We're going to continue to put our head down and work hard because that's what the OGs taught us. And that kind of aligns with this article. When I was young, y'all, my father used to tell me, God rest his soul. He used to tell me that you're going to have to work twice as hard to get the same results as them folks. And I understood it. It was something that was passed down from generations. You're going to have to work twice as hard. But there's a couple ways you can take that information. You can say, oh, I don't want to work twice as hard. I want it to be fair. I want parity. And you can kick and scream like many people on the left do. They wake up every morning and kick and scream and fight and fuss and argue about how things are unfair, life is unfair. But there are those of us who take a different approach and say, just tell me what I got to do, bruh. Just tell me and I'll do it. So my father says to me, you got to work twice as hard. I'm like, okay, boom, work twice as hard. Cool, I can do that. Just put in the work, overcome the obstacles, work twice as hard. Okay, I get it. I can do that. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to fuss. I'm just going to do what is necessary, whatever is necessary to get the results that I want. And when I counsel young brothers, I try to impart that information into them. Yo, bro, there may come situations in your life where you have to work twice as hard as the next man. It's going to feel unfair. You're not going to like it. You're going to look over to your left and over to your right and see folks who are getting the same results as you and not working as hard as you. My message to them is not to sweat it, because their situation is not your situation. You do what you have to do for your circumstance, for your life, for your family. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not looking at the comments. Cynthia Robinson is here. David Jarvie is here. Donald Vick is here. Eddie G is here. Blue Sky's mom is here. Thank you all for being on this impromptu live. I didn't expect to do this, but I got to get more familiar with the live situation and my live setup and working this whole circumstance. And some of you have chimed in, and I appreciate y'all for hitting me up. I've gotten some emails, I've gotten some comments, and y'all said, what is this background going on here? Well, when I had to move my studio to a new location, because God is blessing y'all, I don't speak on it, but God is moving and blessing in my life, and I appreciate God for everything that he's doing in my life. I love it. I'm happy now, y'all. I'm happy. Call it a midlife situation, call it whatever you want, but God is making moves in my life that is nothing short of a blessing. That's what I call it. That's what it is. It's a blessing, physically, spiritually, and I appreciate it. But I had to move my studio to a new location. So here we are with a new background. And y'all was like, what is going on, bro? Some people hit me up, was like, are you in prison? I hope you break out soon. Other folks was like, hey, I'm loving the background. And that's one of the things about streaming on YouTube that YouTubers have to kind of get a grip of. No matter what you do, some people gonna like it, some people not gonna like it. But I thought this background set up a situation where y'all could focus on the speaker and the message and not be distracted by what's going on back there. That was my thinking. So just to give you an understanding of where I was when I put this thing together, I asked my wife, what background should I give the people? Because no matter what you do, somebody gonna like it, somebody not gonna like it. And she came up with this background of greenery. Plants over here, plants over there, plants in the background. And I'm like, yeah, I like it because it gives a whole Zen personality. But wasn't really for me. I like plants, I like greenery, I like growing my own vegetables, y'all. I'm old school like that. But I didn't know how y'all would feel about it. So I decided on a plain background so that y'all can focus on the message, and hopefully y'all are not distracted by what's going on back there, but you understand what I'm trying to convey. And that's where we are at the moment. And as we continue to grow, maybe God will push us in a different direction. And that's where we are at the moment. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Here we are. Janice Totten, Miss V. Laura, David Jarvie, everybody tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for chiming in. I hope that you hit the like and share button. I hope that you hit the notification bell because I've been getting messages from people who are saying I'm subscribed, but I'm not getting your notifications. I hope you hit the notification bell so that this platform, understand it's not mine, y'all, it's theirs, it's them folks platform. Hopefully they send you in the right direction. So let's jump into this and see what we got going on here with these folks. News story from PBS News Hour says Black Americans' significant economic and civil rights progress threatened, report says. And y'all, I can understand this to a certain degree. When I got to grad school, I was the oldest person in my class at 39. 39 years old. I was the oldest person in my class. An interesting situation occurred when I got there because I befriended the youngest person in the class. And I don't know how it happened. It just organically occurred. This young white male from the Midwest, this older Black male from the West Coast. We just connected and became cool. We still connect to this day. Haven't talked to him in a while, but shout out to Evan, who was 21 at the time. I was 39 at the time in the law school class. It was an incredible situation that turned into a lasting relationship. So when this article says Black Americans' significant economic and civil rights progress threatened, it caught my attention because I'm saying, hey, maybe somebody ain't playing their cards right in this circumstance. Let's read on and see what they're talking about. Washington, D.C. AP. Black Americans have endured considerable injustices and barriers to prosperity and equality throughout U.S. history. But their social, economic, and political advances in the last 60 years since the enactment of major civil rights legislation have been unsatisfactory. According to a new annual study on racial progress. Well, when I see sentences like that, y'all, it makes red flags go up in my mind. Who conducted the study? Who sponsored the study? Who paid for the study? Because I understand how these things work. And folks pay certain people for studies when they come up with certain results and say, hey, I need you to conduct a study to come up with this specific result that I have already predetermined. I've already decided what I want the study to say. I just need you to conduct the study and come up with details that support my desired end. Statistics don't lie. Statisticians do. We know that. So let's continue. The State of Black America report by the National Urban League. Okay, there we go. Now we know who sponsored the result. We read on, we find out some more information, and we can look into the history of organizations like this, the National Urban League, the NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus. We see these organizations that have supported certain positions. And we understand where they're coming from, not only where they're coming from, but where they're going and where they're trying to lead Black folks as a people. The State of Black America report by the National Urban League, which has compiled research and analysis on the status of Black Americans in the U.S. for decades, cites legal challenges to the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and backlash to efforts meant to advance racial progress, such as affirmative action and diversity, equity, and inclusion policies for decelerating progress. I can already see, y'all, we just, 2 paragraphs into this study, this news report. I can already see that I'm opposed to it. Not only because who sponsored the report, but because I can see the angle that it's taking the direction that it's going, and I just fundamentally disagree. Doors have been opened in higher education, government, and the private sector in that 60-year period. That's important. Yes, it is. Let's not just gloss over that. We got to understand the progress that has been made in this country. We're not neglecting what has happened in the past. We're not oblivious to some of the things that have occurred in the past. We're just saying that at this point in time, this point in history, things that happened 100 years ago are not necessarily affecting what happens today. When we talk about a couple generations removed from slavery, is that really what's stopping our children from progressing today? You going to tell me that in 2024, slavery is what's stopping your kid from going to class today? That's the reason why he's truant. That's the reason why his pants are sagging. That's the reason why he's carrying a gun. Because of slavery? I disagree. I disagree. Not because of slavery 100 years ago. It might be because of modern slavery, which has reinvented itself and reinvigorated itself in the form of rap and hip hop. And we got these kids who wear these earbuds and headphones and bop around every day, pumping this stuff into their brain 24 hours a day that affects their behavior. And we got brothers who just won't do right, won't act right, are so uncouth, are just ghetto in their behavior. And I know y'all get mad at me when I call it black culture. I myself get upset when I call it black culture. But I want you to be mad as I am when folks refer to it as black culture. Makes me uncomfortable to call it that. I hope you are just as uncomfortable as I am, because I need these young folks to be uncomfortable as well. And they just running up in stores, grabbing stuff and running out. They jacking folks on the street. I don't know if y'all have been following Bay Area culture. I'm here in Northern California in the Bay Area. Things are crazy and off the hook, and they just breaking into cars on the street. 50, 60, 70 cars at a time. Just going up and down the street. And the residents of the Bay know what's going on, so they don't leave anything in the car. Ain't nothing in the car. That's not stopping them. They breaking your window anyway. You still gonna pay a price. Still gonna cost you $500 to get your window fixed, even though you took everything out the vehicle and try to take every precaution against these criminals. But that's what modern culture has devolved into. That's what some of these young brothers are into, the same demographic that I'm trying to reach. And I know some of y'all have reached out to me and said, hey, what about my demographic? What about these folks? We can't save everybody. I focus on the demographic that I can relate to because I've been a young black male. Don't blame me. Don't shoot the messenger. I've been a young black male, so I try to relate to young black males because Black American progress is American progress. And I need y'all to understand that. Some of y'all call me conservative, right wing, MAGA, whatever. Whatever. If that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. But look, can I digress for a second? Because some of y'all hit me up with messages and comments, and you say, how can you support Donald Trump? How can you support the orange man? How can you support this, that, and the third? Look, y'all, I don't hate Donald Trump. And it amazes me that some of y'all do. I don't love Donald Trump because I don't know Donald Trump. And the fact that most of y'all, let me take that back, not most, Many of y'all, enough for me to notice, many of y'all hate this man with such a passion, like he did something to you personally, like you know him personally, like he stepped on your Jordans, like he slapped you in the face personally. Y'all so out of yourselves to hate this man. I don't hate him because I don't know him. All I know is that the policies that were enacted when he was in place was beneficial to the people that I'm trying to help. Y'all, black economic power is American power. Black folks being empowered is helpful to the country. I hope some of y'all can feel what I'm saying. Donald Trump ain't did nothing to you. Don't let these folks convince you that you need to hate this person, because if you study civics, which I think more people should, you understand that the president of the United States only controls the executive branch. And the way this government was set up, according to the Constitution, you have the executive, the judicial, and the legislative branches of government. He only controls 1/3 of the powers of government. We don't understand that. We just get out, and so many folks throw around this vitriol on the internet talking about hating Donald Trump. Let me tell you something. I don't care about Donald Trump as an individual. I don't. I don't love him. I don't hate him. I'm concerned about the policies that he's going to implement that will benefit or hurt the black community. Because black power is economic. I'm sorry, I'm messing that up. Black power is American power. You can't tell me that the black community being empowered is not helpful to America. So when Donald Trump gets in power and he lowers unemployment in the black community, he raises. And he's not personally raising, he's just creating circumstances, y'all. His policies are creating circumstances that elevate black wealth, black home ownership, black household income, black entrepreneurship. All of these things that are helpful to America as a whole. Y'all got to understand what's going on here. I can't believe that y'all in 2024 are still letting Democrats pull the wool over your eyes so that you vote faithfully for them, not understanding the economic metrics that we need to better our community so that we can all do better in life, y'all. If we do better, America does better. That's just where my thinking is. And I hope y'all picking up what I'm putting down in this. Let's get back to this. Every measure shows progress. National Urban League President Mark Morial said, okay, Mark Morial has been in politics for a very long time. Just look at his history and see the things that he's advocated for and the positions that he's held in the past, and you'll understand what's going on. In an interview with the Associated Press ahead of the report's release on Friday. But I would have thought we would have been much further along than we are in 2024 with respect to achieving a sense of parity in America, Morial said. Y'all, the late, great Bishop, I'm trying to think of his name as I sit here, out of Chicago. And this is why I don't like to do lives, because sometimes I get stuck like this. But wow. There was a bishop in Chicago who said that you are majoring in minors, minoring in majors. If somebody remembers this man's name, and I apologize for it slipping my mind right now, just drop it in the chat and I'll put it up. But that was one of his famous sayings, that you are majoring in minors and minoring in majors. And this story reminds me of that. Incredible. He would have thought we would be much further along than we are in 2024 with respect to achieving a sense of parity. Why is parity so important to these people? Why do we have to be equally aligned with anybody in America? This is a fallacy if I've ever heard of one. Hey, it just came to me. The late Bishop Willie James Campbell out of Chicago. You majoring in minors and minoring in majors. Bishop Willie James Campbell. God rest his soul. But the idea of parity that these folks are pushing, the National Urban League and Mr. Morial, this is a fallacy, y'all. We don't need it to be fair. I don't need you to look over to your left and look over to your right and try to get parity with your neighbor. That's not what I want for you. I don't want parity. I want success, which is based on whatever metrics you need for your family to be right. That ain't got nothing to do with the man to the left of you or the man to the right of you. It has to do with you and your personal circumstance. And that's what I need you to focus on. You got people who out here, y'all, these race baiters, these poverty pimps, who want you to get up every day of your life and be angry in the morning as you drink your coffee. They want you to sip your coffee and be mad at your neighbor because your neighbor has a leg up on you. Because your neighbor has a better circumstance. Because you stuck in the rut. Because you sip your coffee every morning. They want you to be mad, angry. I don't want you to be angry. I want you to be motivated. I want you to be energetic about solving your personal situations. And you can't do that by looking to the right, looking to the left. You got to be focused, laser focused on your situation and do what is right for you. And that includes voting. I don't know how we got here, but here we go. 2024, voting. What is best for your household? I don't want you to get caught up in groupthink. I don't want you to get caught up in situations like this where reports are paid for and manipulated by the Urban League. Don't get caught up in that. Focus on your situation. You might have kids who need help because we know in these circumstances, these modern days, it's taking these kids longer to get their footing. I know, y'all, I got kids at university now. They hit me up for money on a regular. You're like, yo, is that all this is about? Can you call me and say hello every now and then? Is it just about money? Deal with your personal circumstance. Don't compare it to mine. Don't compare it to your neighbor. I need you to be, and some people gonna disagree with me here, and I get it. I'm okay, y'all. It's okay. We can agree to disagree. But I need you to be a little selfish right now in this election year because they're gonna throw a lot at you. They're already throwing things at you, just like this report has come out all of a sudden by the Urban League. What has the Urban League done for the Black community? We ain't seen, y'all, in the last 3.5 years that Joe Biden has been letting millions of illegal aliens across the country. And I'm just going to put on my tinfoil hat here, y'all, and say the state of Texas closed the border in Texas, and all of a sudden, Texas faced the biggest fire that it had faced in its history. CIA, FBI, we don't know, right? All we know, and we can say that, correlation is not causation. Okay, all right. However you want to feel about that. But Texas closed its border and all of a sudden Texas was on fire. Take that for what you will. Don't follow me down the rabbit hole. That's just the way that my mind works. Despite significant economic advancement over several decades, the report also highlights numerous barriers to economic advancement. Barriers? The result, the report's authors write, is persistent economic and political disparities. The racial income gap has been virtually unchanged for more than 20 years, with Black Americans making on average 64% of the income of white people, the report notes. All right. If you didn't get it in what my previous rant was, I need you to get it now. Stop comparing yourself to white folks. Stop it. There's no good for you there in that comparison. Stop it. Don't compare yourself to the next man. Focus on your own situation and what you can control in your situation. You ain't going to be able to control everything. You're not going to be able to fix everything, but fix what you can. Control what you can. Improve what you can. You have influence over a small circle. You don't have influence over everything. There's some situations that you can't control. There's some circumstances that you can't control, but I need you to hold strong to the faith. Stay faithful. Cling to God. And make sure that you apply that faith to everything you can control. Sprinkle a little faith all over your circumstance, over your life, over your house, over your children. Just sprinkle a little faith, y'all, and cling to it. And understand, here we go, y'all. Ephesians 6 and 10. Finally, my brethren, start over. Ephesians 6 and 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that we may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. I know y'all have heard that. If you come from where I come from, you heard that line of scripture a million gazillion times. But I need to reiterate it so y'all understand this is not about comparing yourself to this neighbor or that neighbor based upon what they look like or their economic status may be. Because we're not fighting against that person. We're not fighting against that skin color. We're not fighting against flesh and blood. We're fighting against spiritual wickedness in high places. Now, that spiritual wickedness may inhabit that person's situation. That spiritual wickedness may be controlling in that person's circumstance. But that person, that skin color, that ethnicity is not what we're fighting against. So don't let these Democratic operatives like the Urban League come out in 2024 in an election year and convince you that you should be mad at your neighbor, that neighbor that personally hasn't done anything to you. There may have been spiritual wickedness in their situation that has affected you, but it doesn't reflect everybody who looks like that person. I don't know if y'all picking up what I'm putting down. I'm trying to express it in a way that everybody can get it. And I hope that the Holy Spirit is speaking through me in a way that you can understand what I'm trying to convey. It's not about racism. It's not about the next man having a better opportunity than you, because nothing is ever going to be fair. Fair. You can't look for parity in this life, economically or otherwise. You can't look for fairness. I referenced earlier, the old folks used to say, you got to work twice as hard to get half as much. Okay, well, do the math. That means I got to work 4 times as hard to be equal with the next. Okay, boom, I'm going to work 4 times as hard. What's the problem with that? Well, it's unfair. You shouldn't have to. Look, y'all, don't spend your life complaining and arguing about the unfairness of life. Life ain't never, when in the history of ever has life been fair? Accept your plight in life. It is what it is. Do what you gotta do. That's what I tell these young boys. Look, man, and I got 4 boys of my own, y'all. And I tell them, whatever it is you gotta do that. Because in any given circumstance, what does a man do? What he gotta do. Whatever he gotta do, that's what a man does. So I'm encouraging you and I'm pushing you. I got 2 hands to your back, pushing you forward, saying, be a man, go forth, accept your responsibility, do what you got to do. Young grasshopper, I'm telling you, I'm not encouraging these young boys to do anything that I haven't done in my own life. That's why I feel like I got credibility when I talk to them, when I go at them. Look, bro, these are the things that I've done in my life. It can be done. You can be successful. You can make it just by hard work, because you know what? Hard work beats talent every time when talent doesn't work hard. I'll say it again. Hard work beats talent every time when talent doesn't work hard. So this story here, y'all, we have from PBS News Hour. I ain't falling for it. This is trash. You got a sponsor report in an election year, paid for, sponsored by the National Urban League and Mark Morial, who paid some folks to write a story to influence the Black community. We're going to see more of this. I told y'all 2024 was going to be wild. Did you hear me when I said it? 2024 is going to be crazy. And we're just entering March. Wait till summer hits. Y'all, it's going to be so crazy. I hope that you can keep your wits about yourself and stay prayed up, because they're going to hit you with everything they got. I'm in California. It wouldn't surprise me if they locked us down again. But they want y'all to believe in these people who are promoting the lockdowns, who have promoted the lockdowns in the past, who told you you couldn't go to church. You couldn't sing in your choir. You had to shutter your church doors. But the liquor store was open right down the street from your church. But the marijuana dispensary was open right down the street from your church. But you couldn't worship your God. These are the people that we are up against. Spiritual wickedness in high places. Yeah, those high places control these churches because they control your nonprofit status. Dare you buck against them? You'll be paying taxes next year. And that's what life is really about, y'all. Let's cut through all of the nonsense and all of the noise and get to the essence. Spiritual wickedness in high places that can deploy that wickedness on you in your low place, that affects you and your church and your parishioners, and can change your life because it's a power structure. And I'm rambling, so I'm going to back up. I digress. But I appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of this live. Y'all, it was kind of impromptu, but I'm trying to get in the practice of being live. This is not my thing. I told y'all I have a reserved personality, so I don't normally do things like this, but y'all have been hitting me up, and I appreciate the contact, man. Let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave a share. Y'all like this kind of presentation, so I'm going to lean into it. And I'm okay with it because I appreciate your support and I want to give you what you desire from this channel. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all stay prayed up. We are in the month of March, year of our Lord 2024, y'all. We already 2 months in. Seems like things are getting crazier by the day. I read the news, I see the stories, illegal immigrants assaulting folks, killing folks all over the country. And it's only going to get worse in this year. And we're going to have to stay prayed up. We're going to have to stay connected. Even if we stay connected through this channel, if this is our medium where we can touch and agree, then so be it. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Y'all give me an outlet. Look, my friend here, Urban Southern Cookie. She has left me a comment, y'all, and I'm trying to figure out because I'm not new to this. She has left me a comment and a super chat that said, "Excellent content. I appreciate. I absolutely. I'm sorry. I'm getting carried away. Excellent content. I absolutely support the live stream as well as other videos you post. Keep informing and facilitating content to make change in this world. Proud of you, brother. Blessings to you and your family." That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. When we were live streaming on Christmas, I got online on a live stream with the intent of just giving out Christmas dinners to folks. And Urban Southern Cookie came up and she blessed us in that live stream and she shared from her heart. And I tried to give her $50. Let me just buy you dinner. She was like, "Nah, I give it to somebody else. I'm good. I'm straight." So the fact that she's still here a couple months later hanging out and giving super chats, it encourages me to keep going in this vein. Like I said, y'all, it's new to me. I've never been the person to just step out into the public and just make presentations like this. I'm always the person to fall back. I'm the wallflower in the room. I'm the quietest person in the room. That's just my personality. So when I see things like this, it just encourages me incredibly. I can't even express it. Just encourages me incredibly to keep going in this vein. That somebody would be so touched that they would donate to this channel, to this ministry, to this message in this way. I appreciate you, sis. I remember you saying that you heard about this channel through your brother who was a drummer. And at some point, I will walk y'all through that whole journey of where Gospel Chops came from and what this whole thing is about, because I think some of y'all at this point are new to what's going on here and you don't understand what it means when I say things like, without the gospel, it's just chops. Man, it's going to take a whole video. It's going to take a whole video to explain to you what that even means. But I appreciate y'all for chiming in and being a part of this and just encouraging me in that way. I'll touch on it quickly because I've been on longer than I thought I was going to be. We on here 45 minutes. Let me fan my glasses because I think I'm fogging up here. Let me just get in front of it. Sorry, y'all. It's a little embarrassing, but that's what we on today. When I was doing musical outreach in video format, reaching out to musicians across the world, traveling around the country and going and capturing musicians and highlighting talent from all over the country, there was a certain segment of society. I ain't gonna blast them. I ain't gonna put no demographic metrics on them. I'm not gonna call them out. I'm just saying that gospel musicians learn in a certain way. They learn in a certain way. I see Tresta Richardson. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you so much. She didn't even leave a comment. She just threw something at me, and I appreciate your support. Thank you for being here and encouraging me. It means a lot, more than I could even express at this moment. When I was traveling around the country capturing young church musicians' talent, and there's a blog post, even on my blog on gospelchops.com. There's a blog post I wrote about how gospel musicians learn music. It's a very unique and interesting trajectory of how gospel music is disseminated from generation to generation. And when I was in college, I had some professors on my campus who I reached out to and said, "Hey, I'm involved in this research, this sociological study of Black musicians, and it seems like you ain't got none on this campus, professor." I would have to go back over a decade to dig up that email that I reached out to this professor with and say, "You're the music director of this university. Seems like you ain't got none of these guys here on campus." And he responded to me, surprisingly, and said, "If they can't read music, if they haven't come up in this traditional way, this ain't the program for them." He was polite, he was respectful, and he said there are plenty of other ways they can make money and make a living in the music business, but this university ain't for them. Incredible. But at the same time that I found out the hard way that these circumstances wasn't built for these young Black boys who could play at a masterful level but couldn't read a note, couldn't even explain to you what they were playing. It was all by feel, it was all by ear, it was all by touch. Interesting sociological experiment that I experienced for over 20 years. It was incredible, y'all. It got me through my education because when I had a history paper to write, I wrote it on the history of the gospel musician because I studied these dudes. I was with them. I saw how they moved. I saw how they operated. I saw how they learned. When I had a sociology paper to write, I wrote it on these dudes. I had an English paper to write. I wrote it on these dudes. Why? Because I understood that the professor would never be able to call me out on the things that I wrote because they didn't understand the culture. They didn't understand. And Gospel Chops got me through my education. Even to the fact of when I was in law school and had to write a 30-page intellectual property paper. I wrote about these dudes because I knew the professor wouldn't understand. And I understood it on such a deep level, having spent decades with these brothers. It got me through. So when I came to a point where I understood that there were people, as I exposed this on this platform and others, there were people who came. Oh my God. There were people who came into that circumstance that we had built, communing together and expressing ourselves on video and audio. There were people who came as vultures, as takers, as I call them, just to extract from the community. Never wanted to step foot in a Black church, never wanted to be part of the culture, never wanted to even connect with these young musicians. They just wanted to extract and take everything they could. We don't want to know you. We don't want to be affiliated with you. We just want to play like you. We just want to take your skill set and extract it from the community. I hope somebody is feeling what I'm saying right now. These were the takers who would come into the community and complain about certain things because they wanted it their way. They didn't want, and let me be fair, y'all. So we talked about a little bit about fairness in this video, right? Let me be fair. There were people who came to me. There were people who I escorted to church. I remember specifically being in Chicago. There was a long-haired, nose and tongue pierced person, not from our community, but he hit me up because I publicized my schedule. He knew I was going to be there. He said, yo, I would go to a black church if I could go with you. I'm not walking in there by myself. He was afraid. He didn't know what to expect. He was scared of the culture. He was scared of the people because he was unfamiliar. I took that man to church, y'all, on Sunday morning because that was the only way he would go. Y'all talk about ministry. Y'all talk about outreach. I've been in the trenches. I've done the work and still do it to this day. But that young man was different from the takers because he didn't just want to come in and extract the talent and say, I want your licks, I want your chops, I want to play like y'all, but I don't want to be connected. No, this man said, I want to go to church, but I don't know what goes on in there. I'm afraid of what might happen. Can I go with you? I'll rock with you. Took that young brother to church. He had a great time. We still in contact to this day. But that's very different from those takers who would come into the community and only want to extract, not give anything, not support anything, just want to take. So that's where the phraseology comes from. Without the gospel, it's just chops. What do you got if you don't want to be a part of the culture? If you can play it but can't relate to it, what does that even mean? Without the gospel, it's just chops. Understand? You might be able to play it, you might be able to execute, but if you can't feel it and can't convey that feeling through your play, then what does it even mean? What does it mean if you can execute the chop, execute the chord progression, but have no relation to God Almighty? Have no relation to Jesus Christ? Well, that's just chops. It's not gospel chops. And if you search the United States Patent and Trademark Office and you look for gospel chops, there's only one place that it's going to lead you to, and that place is here. Because I had to go to school to learn how to do all that stuff. Trademark and patent and copyright and all of that. I've done the work, and I tell these young folks, I've been to school, so you don't have to. Hit me up. I'll direct you. Use me as a resource. So what we do, we give back, we help, we assist. Gospel chops is here and here only. Anybody else who tells you different is telling you a falsehood. This is gospel chops. And without the gospel, you ain't got nothing but chops. So what does it mean if you can play it and you can't believe? What does it mean if you came into the community and you extracted but didn't give anything back? Yo, black church is different. I'll say that. Some of these folks couldn't last in a black church. Yeah, you might have some skill, you might have some chops, but have you ever been playing drums and an old mother knock your cymbal over? Have you ever been on the organ or piano and somebody just take off running in the middle of service and you have to adjust? If y'all don't know nothing about that, then you don't know nothing about this. My name is Gerald, y'all. I am Gospel Chops. Hope y'all picking up what I'm putting down. I appreciate each and every one of y'all from being a part of this whole situation. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I hope you come back for the next. I hope I didn't run you off. Because on a live situation, this is kind of what you get. I ramble a bit. I digress a bit. But before I hit that live button, I pray every time and I ask God to guide my situation. And so far, He has. And I am appreciative. I am thankful. And I will remain faithful, even with my prison background. And somebody called my background looked like I was in prison. No, I'm not in prison. I just want to keep it simple that you focus on myself and the message that I'm trying to put forward. I don't want to distract you by too much that's going on back there. But as I think about it and ponder it, I might change it up as time goes on. I appreciate y'all. I love each and every one of you, and I hope that you like this video and subscribe to the channel and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. Like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time.